Morning everybody, Mike from Fishermn here. I'm on a lake that I haven't been to yet this year. We're gonna go for some bass, whatever wants to bite. It's early, it's a little closer to my house than most of the lakes I've been visiting. So I got here really early, so I've been taking my time getting ready. Got a little bit of rain, I always check the forecast. Looks like it's gonna be okay, but we're gonna kind of hang out pretty close to the landing until I know for sure how the weather's gonna pan out. Good thing is, this lake's got some great spots right by the landing. Let's go fishing. Had a nice intro this morning, full of hope. But you know what? Plans change. I tried a bunch of lures. I tried chatterbait. I've got a Mep spinner that I trolled with. I've got a spinnerbait tied on. Tried the Whopper Plopper, of course the Booyah Pad Crasher, and the yellow. Well, I'll tell you that the chatterbait, the Mep spinner, the Whopper Plopper, and the spinnerbait did not work today. So that leaves the Booyah Pad Crasher and the yellow, which would be gulp or power bait. As I bring in a fish. So here we go. 2-inch yellow jigging grub versus Booyah Pad Crasher. Who do you think won? Take a look. Alright, notice how I'm kind of tucking in here. If you're out there throwing this way, you got about 5 feet of strike zone. But if you're coming from this way, you can drag it in that strike zone a little bit longer. And I consider the strike zone right on the edge or just off the edge of these. Now what you have to watch out for when you're fishing this way is that you don't crank it all the way down as far as you can, because if you hook a fish, you might spook a couple in here that you could have got. So I would say small to medium casts. And then a cast in every once in a while too, because there's some pockets in there that are wide open. There we go. Okay, right off this edge here, like I usually say, right where you're supposed to be. Ooh, got him just kind of skin hooked. Good Booyah Pad Crasher hooks. First fish of the day. Welcome to the boat, Mr. Largemouth. All right, it's a start. It's always good to get that first bass in the boat. We've got this thick mat stuff here, but really underneath the bass can kind of move around freely. So I'm kind of working the edge, but I'm still throwing in there too to all those pockets, and I will throw out a few to open water also. I decided to bring my old drive today to give it a little bit of a workout. So rather than pulling the cord and going backwards, we'll do it the old-fashioned way with the paddle. I just have never done super well here in this area. Came because the wind was a little better. So Gave it a try with the frog and with the chatterbait. I'm seeing stuff down there, so what do we usually do to figure out what it is? I'm gonna pull out the yellow. Throw a little gulp down there. See what we can get. Fish on. All right. Now this guy needs to teach those bass how to hit it. Look at that. It is swallowed. Oh, there we go. All right, that first guy was spotted. This guy, no spots. Pretty bluegill. Getting a chance to see what some of those marks were down there that I was going over. There were some bigger ones down there too. If you take a look at some of my Grand Rapids videos, I had a day where the bass fishing was slow, and so I put on the yellow and was catching crappies, and all of a sudden I caught about a 5-pound bass on the same setup. Ultralight rod, ultralight reel, 6-pound line. Man, that was awesome. Bass. It's a lot of ways to get a nice bass. Here he comes. This one, they're so big that they have a hard time jumping. Throw a frog all day, throw on a little twister tail, and that's what you get. There we go. Hey, how about another bass? Little guy, but there's one around. If I haven't done it already, I'm gonna do a video. I went down south in Minnesota, and the fishing was slow, so I took this stuff out, and let me tell you, I caught 8 different species of fish on it. Now this is my 3rd sunfish. They've all been different kinds. First one was more of just a traditional kind of green sunfish. Then one of those pretty kind of bluegills with the yellow kind of front to it. And then a hybrid one, or a pumpkin seed. All right. Action. All kinds of marks down there. Get this guy off, back down there. Hey, I'm catching bass. It's gonna take about 8 of these to equal the 1 frog bass, because these are tiny. But action. There's something snapping over there. Hey, look at that. Fish about an hour, get 1 bass. Put on the gulp for about 10 minutes. Catch all kinds of different species. There we go. It has a little bit of thump to it. It's a crappie, it's a monster. If it's a sunny, it's a monster. If it's a northern, it's tiny. What do we got? It's a bass. Well, it's given us a clue that maybe they're just off the edge a little bit here, because that guy was in about 10 feet. There we go. All right. Well, maybe we just gotta slow it down for him. That is a nice bass. I think we caught up to our frog bass. How about that? I'm gonna count that as jigging up a bass. All right. Nice fish. There we go. I'm sure a lot of you that watch me fish are like, that's what the jig fish could be like. I still like catching frog bass, but when the fishing is slow, taking out a power bait can really spice things up. It's been a couple of hours of fishing. Fishing was a little bit slow to start out. I started out fishing lily pad and weed line all the way around down to there, and I caught one frog bass. So then I came back all the way up to the point, fishing a chatterbait. Nothing. As I was fishing, I was marking a lot of fish below the boat. So what do? When you need to figure out what's below the boat, you take out the yellow. So I took out the gulp and caught a variety of fish. I caught bass, I caught sunfish, crappies. I even caught one bass that was as big as my frog bass. So that tells me they might be a little deeper today. We'll see. Headed to the next spot. The camera will be rolling. There we go. Not quite a flurry, but it's a frog bass. There we go. Nice to see one bite. Hopefully he can grow up to be a 20-incher. There we go. It's a bigger fish compared to a panfish. All right. Frog 2. Gulp. It's like 4. All right, everybody. Did kind of an assessment of the whole lake with trolling, frogs, chatterbait, and the yellow. And I've come to the conclusion that this is where we're gonna have the best chance to catch our fish. After our frog bass over here, we came all the way around this point. We didn't go much further that way, down there. So I'm gonna bank on this area being our area where we're gonna catch fish. I'm gonna start with a power bait and maybe switch back to gulp. But let's see what we can get. We got our nicest bass on a power bait today. So maybe that's a ticket. Maybe just slow and lightweight equipment. It's kind of stormy. We've got hot weather moving in. I thought today would be nice because it's kind of muggy out, and I kind of like that for frog fishing especially, but just not finding them. And that's okay. We're gonna find them somehow. I'll keep the cameras rolling. There we go. All right. Thought maybe after the rain we'd start getting some. There we go. What do we got? Nice crappie. Nice crappie. All right. That's a chunky crappie there. Oh, I did get him. Ooh. Another nice crappie. All right. It feels like one of those bigger guys. Taking a little bit of drag. Oof. Got him in some weeds, but I'd love to see what this is. What do we got? Haha! Powerbait says one more for me. What an interesting day. Catching a couple on a frog, but just that little 1/16 ounce jig. Nice. Keep them coming. I tell you, it's a fun way to fish. Jigging up some big crappies and whammo, and get a nice bass. There we go. There's a good one. All right. Frog on the comeback trail. Nice little fish. We are patiently getting our frog bass today. Just when I tell myself, put the frog away for the day, get another one. I don't know, this might be one of those videos where it's power bait against frog. I don't know, a couple more and frog's right back in it. I want to mention that this time of the year is pretty slow for me, late July. So usually what I do is go to the river, and the river usually produces some really nice smallmouth bass. So you've probably seen some of the videos. Well, this year my usual river spots aren't very accessible. I went and checked them out and it's just too low because I usually go upstream, and next to impossible. I'm gonna keep checking, but I'm also going to learn how to fish lakes during the slow time. So you're going to see more jigging with kind of the grubs and the yellow, and some early morning bassin. Another thing, I'm just not able to get up north like I did last summer also. So some of the lakes like Favorite Lake and the lakes around the Grand Rapids area usually help too during the slow time of the year. But either way, it's just great to be out. I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.